All right, full time. Manchester United 2, the side of Grimsby 2. And when we went to penalties, Manchester United has been knocked out. 12-11. Smash like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rock and David is my name, and hope you guys are really not having the night that you're supposed to be having, but this is what we call reality. And reality will obviously kick in every time you don't want to listen to what people who have been here say about this beautiful game of football. And I've gone ahead to see very many people come out and really give out excuses that Andre Onana should be sold. Now, was Andre Onana in between the stitches for the game of Arsenal? Was he the one in between the stitches for the game of Fulham? Now, that shows you that this side of Manchester United is really confused, and very many people are really not attacking the gist of the matter. You know, the gist of the matter is simple. You know, Manchester United is a team that has no direction. Why? I said this when Ten Hag got sacked, that you've been having a manager who is playing a system of 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 and playing a system of a back four, and you sack him after August, September, October. You know, you bring in a new manager in November, and that manager tells you, I'm going to change the system to a back three, 4 midfielders, 2 number 10s and 1 striker. And this entire technical side of Man United said yes. You understand? How could you bring on a manager who is obviously going to change the system without a preseason? You understand? Before I even go to Amorim, I really want to really address the factor of the people known as the board, you know, and the technical department. You know, there were disagreements. One, Dan Ashworth was like, let's give Ten Hag time. The Ineos side wanted to obviously start their era with a new manager, and they were like, let's obviously sack him and bring in a new manager. You understand? So that's exactly what happened, you know, and that was the first blunder this board went ahead to do. If sacking Ten Hag was inevitable and they went ahead to sack him, they would have gone ahead to do the following. The club of Manchester United would have gone to bring in a manager who is obviously going to be playing a back four, you know, or they would have gone ahead to keep Ruud van Nistelrooy as an interim until the end of the season, and then bring in Ruben Amorim to obviously initiate his system at the club of Manchester United. Until now, we are still having people who are really saying the players don't suit the system. Now, who went ahead to obviously assess these players? It's the technical board, technical department, and the manager Ruben Amorim. And Amorim has gone ahead to spend close to £200 million, and he has gone ahead to bring on 2 players. And we are told United still has one more. They still have £150 million to spend again. You understand? That is the club of Manchester United for you. You understand? And I want to let you know that where we are right now, Manchester United is making wrong decisions. That is it. Manchester United is making very huge wrong decisions. And these decisions are really taken by the board and the manager. Because if the manager had gone ahead to make a full assessment of the squad and he said he never wanted these players around, you know, then he would have gone ahead not to be spending. As I told you, we don't need players of 60, 70, 80 million pounds or euros. All we need are players of 40, 50, 40, 50, 40, 50. Because if you had signed 3 players for 50 million euros, you know, Manchester United would have going to be having another balance of 70 plus the 150 that the media is talking about, would have going to be having 220 million euros. And that means United would have gone to obviously make what we call an overhaul of a squad. And let me go to those people blaming Andre Onana and saying that we need a new goalkeeper. Now, those are really baby cries. I can tell you, and I can confirm to you that those are really baby cries. A team like Manchester United can't go to a stadium of Grimsby. That team is, I think, in the 4th division of the English football hierarchy or ranking, and we cannot go there and look like that. I'll tell you, you filled the United under 18s, all under 21s. They put up a show better than that of Man United senior team they've gone ahead to put up. Now everyone is like, Onana is the problem, as well we've gone ahead to lose. All right, that's what you're saying. Let's admit that we conceded all the goals because of Andre Onana. Now, what did the on-field players do against Grimsby? We're not playing against Brighton. We are not playing against Sunderland. We are not playing against a championship team even. We are not playing against a League One team. We are playing against a team that is playing in the 4th division, and a team of Manchester United cannot really find themselves score 3 goals or 4 and obviously find themselves in a winning position to get to the next round. You understand? So, everyone who is like, Onana, get out. Onana is not the problem. If Amorim knew that he never wanted to have Andre Onana with him this season, one of the first signings would have gone ahead to make would have gone ahead to be Lamens, because Lamens is really cheap. They are calling in him for just 30 million euros. He would have gone ahead to be the first signing of the first or second signing of Ruben Amorim, because for me, getting in Cunha first was really very excellent. I was really excited about it. Now, those that really followed are my problem. You understand? The Mbeumo deal and the Mbeumo deal and the Benjamin Sesko deal. Why? Those upfield players can easily get into the team immediately. Even if you sign them like we signed Benjamin Sesko, he'll obviously get into the team immediately, But there are 2 sensitive positions that we would have gone ahead to follow up after signing Benjamin Sesko. One, if the manager wanted a new goalkeeper, for me, of which I think he doesn't need one, he would have gone ahead to go out and really do the needful. First and foremost, get in Lamens during the preseason. Let him get used to playing with his defenders. You understand? And when he gets used to playing with his defenders, that means at the start of the season, he will obviously get him in and he will obviously do the needful. But another howler is obviously going to be made. You are going to bring in Lamens because he's coming at Manchester United, I tell you. And when he comes in through, you know what's going to happen. He's going to be thrown into the team immediately. And remember, we're out of the Carabao Cup. The FA Cup is coming in what we call, it's coming up in what we call January. That means the only games that this manager is obviously gonna be exposed to, all this goalkeeper, are Premier League games, and they're really gonna be tough games. And I'll see the same people come out and say the goalkeeper is the problem. No, it's the technical department of Man United and the manager, because there are priorities that you have to look at and really understand better when you're really doing certain things. So, Manchester United, I tell you, we are yet to suffer. On Sunday, I was on a TikTok live. I came up and told people that we are really watching it, that this is just the beginning. And we are going to suffer more and more and more and more and more. I spoke it out with huge confidence inside my heart, because I've been here long enough in the post Sir Alex Ferguson era to see how things work. When you look at the body language of those players, they never played for the manager, And I tell you this, very soon you'll hear that the manager is not in control of that dressing room. I tell you, that dressing room is out of his hands. It's out of his hands. The manager is not in control. He's trying to show that he's in control, but to me, he's not in control because of certain things. If you come and play against Grimsby, right? First half, the game ends 2-0 in favor of Grimsby. How can a team like Man United take 45 minutes to pull one goal back? And then after scoring that of pulling one back, it took United 24 minutes to level up the game, to force it to go to penalties. You understand? You get? So I don't really feel like that is the right thing that is being done at Manchester United. These players really are fed up of this system that the manager is really bringing up, I tell you. And this manager will obviously get sacked if such results continue to flow in. Why? When you look at Erik Ten Hag, he had played 9 games and he had played into, I think he had obviously gone ahead, play 3 games in the Europa League, hadn't going to lose any of the games. I think had 1 win and 2 draws. He had like 5 points, right? Then, when you go to Ruben Amorim, he comes in through his first season, full season, 2 games in the Premier League, a loss to Arsenal at home, and a 1-1 draw away at Fulham. Erik Ten Hag had taken United through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. And remember, we had played, I think, 2 games when Erik Ten Hag was here. And we had gone ahead, obviously, get through. You understand? And guess what happened? Today, we've been knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Now, if there is a huge signal that this manager is obviously going to be sacked, it has been signaled out today by the players, because that board meeting that is going to be sitting tomorrow, I know with such a performance, there has to be a crisis board meeting. There has to be a crisis board meeting, and they'll be like, what is not happening? And if the manager said, I need a center forward, Rasmus Højlund is not scoring my goals. Rasmus Højlund was not even part of the squad. You understand? Are we scoring goals? For 3 consecutive games, Rasmus Højlund is not part of the squad. You understand? So, if he's not part of the squad, are we scoring goals? Are we creating chances? You understand? So, all that Garnacho, Sancho, Rasmus Højlund or Nana talk is crap. That is crap talk. Let's all admit, first and foremost, we are really making the wrong signings as a club of Man United. Right now, not until we believe that, we should obviously get back to what we call square one. Let's build the team. Let's build the team. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If you are a man who is rebuilding a team, you shouldn't go in for players who are obviously going to pile pressure onto your team. You understand? You shouldn't go in for Mbeumo. You shouldn't go in for Benjamin Sesko. You shouldn't go in for players like Mbeumo. I put this out. The only player that I feel out of those 3 that we needed, when you tell me Cunha, I would have gone here to say, yes, get me Matthias Cunha, because I know his attributes and what he can offer onto the field of play. But Mbeumo, getting Mbeumo for £76 million, for me, I don't really agree with that. Would have gone ahead to go and get in Ryan Cherki, who is at Man City. Then, for Benjamin Sesko, we wouldn't have gone ahead to spend any coin on a center forward when a proven striker who is like 25 years of age, that is Jonathan David, was there and is at Juventus really scoring in goals. If I'm Man United, I would have gone ahead to bring in that lad known as Jonathan David, and brought him to the club of Man United. That's what I would have gone ahead to do as a person who really plays for a club known as Manchester United, right? If not that, then That's not what a club, I think, would have gone ahead to do in here onto our beautiful channel. So for my case, I really come up and tell you the club of Manchester United is really having huge problems in recruitment, and huge pressure has been piled onto this club because of the signings that we made. I've gone ahead to obviously find fans of Man United like, we've brought Mbeumo, we've brought Sesko, we've brought in Cunha, we are into the title race. And very many came out and obviously said we are into the title race. And I told you the best position that United can snag out of this season is 6th. If you went ahead and really watched my video that I did onto the Rokani Media Football, talking about my expectations for the club of Manchester United, I said United will completely be in 6th position for to perform very well. I said Spurs 5th, Chelsea 4th, Liverpool 3rd. Did I say Liverpool 4th? Man City 2nd, and Arsenal will lift the league. You know, because Arsenal is not where they are by mistake. That's what people don't really understand. Arsenal is where they are because they've gone ahead to obviously listen, and they accepted that they are not really performing well. They accepted that the team needed a rebuild, and the rebuild was really put out and set out very well. You understand? After all that, this is what they're really having. Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, all those teams admitted that we need something special. We need to get back to ground zero. And I've told you the players that would have gone ahead to bring in. If you wanted a goalkeeper, Lamens, 30 million euros, okay, bring him in at the beginning of the preseason. You understand? Cunha came in through before the preseason started. Good signing. Go in, instead of spending 76 million pounds on a player called Matthias Cunha, go ahead and really spend like 25 million pounds on a player known as Ryan Cherki. You understand? You are saving how much money? You're saving some other money. You're saving close to 50 million pounds saved. Benjamin Sesko. Don't get in Benjamin Sesko because we're in the rebuild. Get in Jonathan David and keep Rasmus Højlund here to be the understudy of Jonathan David. That's how teams are really built. And we should obviously accept the process. And if at all you say to it that you want to win the Premier League as United celebrates 150 years anniversary, that is in 2028, you know, this was supposed to be the perfect time to obviously change everything. And I also come out to criticize the board as I criticized them at the beginning of this video, because if you are really trusting Amorim in, and he has gone ahead to come in through with his system of the back three, which is 3-5-2 or 3-4-1, why don't you tell the managers in the academy teams to really coach the same system? Have you gone ahead to look at these teams play? Because for me, I really watch Manchester United TV. I obviously watch those entire games of Manchester United and how those young teams really form up. You know, they even post the lineups, you know, and even if you go to Google, you see they play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, meaning that the board made a decision that cannot be extended to the academy teams. And if that can't be extended to that side, it's a clear-cut message that the board of Manchester United doesn't trust the manager. That is it. They don't trust the manager, and the manager has gone ahead to obviously lose it all, I tell you. And I tell you what, there is no way back. As someone has gone ahead to say, there is no way back. One, if you want to obviously gate and fix results, Ruben Amorim should obviously fix the system and get back to a back three, you know, that will see Dallo being more effective, Patrick Dogu being more effective, you understand? Then you'll have to really play Cunha off the left attacking side of the midfield, Mbeumo onto the right attacking side of the midfield, Bruno Fernandes playing as a central attacking midfielder and Benjamin Sesko leading the line. Then you'll have either a Ugarte or a Kobimheinu or a Casemiro and a player known as Kobimheinu or Ugarte. That's what we should do, because you can't, if your system can't effect a positive result when you're playing against Grimsby Town, when will it ever effect a result? Because we haven't gone ahead to collect 3 points, and I really thought that this would have gone ahead to be the game that would have gone to act as a breather to our manager Ten Hag, to our manager Ruben Amorim, and it's not really acting so. And I'm really laughing. You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because I had very many people in here tell me that the club of Manchester United, right, is not obviously gonna do anything with Ten Hag, and they are like, it was time to sack Ten Hag. I was one of the people who was like, it's not time to sack Ten Hag. Let's stick with Ten Hag. And most people are like, he needs a sack. He needs to obviously be sacked. You understand? Now, let's compare the first because Ruben Amorim has managed close to 30 games of Manchester United. Now, let's compare the first 30 games of Ten Hag and the first 30 games of Ruben Amorim and see who really had a better winning percentage, who really got better results. You understand? And I have my friend called Fikma that we are always with on TikTok. He came out and told me that one thing that we've lost in Ten Hag is that we've lost a manager who is really a winner, because Ten Hag at Manchester United went ahead to win 2 trophies. He won an FA Cup and he won a Carabao Cup. And remember, when I was really doing the live match preview for this game, I told you that this is one of the things that this manager should obviously come out and obviously redeem himself from by winning it or by staying into this tournament, but it's gonna be drawing what we call a debate on whether he's the right manager or a mistake was done to sack Ten Hag and get in Amorim. Because for Ten Hag, he got United where it was, and do you think United will qualify for the Champions League? Because one of the reasons we are given when they sacked Ten Hag, they said the club went ahead to obviously put on their telescope and they really foresaw that Ten Hag cannot take them to the Champions League. And they needed to sack him early enough with 8 games played. You understand? With 8 games played, they needed to sack him out. They need to sack him with 8 games played to bring in a manager who will obviously save the season. And did he save the season? Let's be real. He never saved the season. He just went ahead to obviously take us to rock bottom. You know that very well. You understand? So I feel like some people are really just deluded and they know the truth and they don't want to speak it out. So me who said that, I think it's now way up. I think it's months back. And you who were like, Rokani, you never wanted Ten Hag to get sacked. He was not a good manager. Who saved the best for the last? I think it's me who saved the best for the last. You understand? And people were comparing Ruben Amorim and Ten Hag. And I told you that Ten Hag has been always at Ajax for some time. In his dream season of 2018-2019, he went ahead to face the best of the best teams in Europe. And you know what he did to them? He schooled them. Real Madrid, Juventus, there is another team. Not until he was knocked out by Spurs, And remember, he came to London and really went ahead to get a win. And he failed to obviously keep his 2-goal lead, in Ajax. And that's when Lucas Moura went ahead to obviously score the winner, and the side of Ajax was really knocked out, and they never played in the final. And it's Spurs who really took on Liverpool, and Liverpool went ahead to win that league. So, a manager who has such a profile, and he comes in through, and you see what he's really doing, And the funny bit of this is that when these managers come in through, there is the way we hail them. But for me, for Ruben Amorim, I was hesitant because I've gone ahead to hail in very many managers. And the only one that I never hailed for me was Mourinho, because Mourinho came in through after United had gone ahead to move or sack a manager called Louis van Gaal. And that was really very bad because Louis van Gaal had initiated a system at Manchester United, and that system was really working. And it was just a matter of time to obviously give him time and really build the team. And again, this is my problem with the board of Man United, that are they willing to obviously give this manager time? That is my problem. They don't look like they are willing to give this manager time. You understand? So guys, I can speak until morning, but all this came in through from the point I was talking about, that if at all you need a goalkeeper and a midfielder, after bringing in Cunha, you are supposed to bring in those players immediately. Why? A goalkeeper has to get used to playing with his back three. He needs to get to know the movement of the players, who should be where in set pieces, and how to command them. He needs to obviously learn English. Which language is he going to be using to speak to these people? All that is really important, But we haven't obviously gone ahead to bring in a goalkeeper, A midfielder is also very important because games of football are really won and lost in the midfield. We know that. And he also needs to come in fast, After bringing in Cunha, work on the deal of bringing in a midfielder and a player known as Lamens in goal, if you really needed them. Now, Manchester United under Eric Ten Hag needed a midfielder, When we brought in Andrew Onana, we brought him early enough, and Mazarawi, Matas Delit, we brought them in, just a week, I think, to United getting into the game that I think we're going to have to play against. Was it Wolverhampton Wanderers or Fulham? I think it was Fulham. So after bringing them on, like a week too, they started and really looked very well, but you obviously sensed that they needed more time. Would have gone to obviously get those deals done earlier enough. They also went ahead to know that we needed a midfielder before the end of the season of 2020 to 2023. Do you know what happened? They went ahead, the season of 2023-2024, they knew that in the season of 2023-2024, they knew to it that we needed a midfielder and a CDM. Do you know when they signed a CDM? They signed a CDM when the season has already gone ahead to start. I remember Manuel Ugarte came in through towards the end of the summer transfer window. And if I'm not mistaken, he was unveiled, I think, on the final day of... He was announced on the final day of our summer transfer window. So those are things that Man United has gone ahead to be doing in here for a very long period of time that I don't really believe in. And that's why I tell you, the people at the helm of the club are really to blame. And it's 100% known to the manager. It's the board. Because all along, we've come out and said, the players are the problem. The players are the problem. Now, we've gone ahead to bring in a competent board. Managers are going to be changed under this competent board. But what has gone ahead to change? We've gone ahead to obviously keep the same results, and the results have gone ahead to worsen. So stop coming out and saying the players are the problem. Now, we need to look at the board, and let's look into the manager, Ruben Amorim, who is really stubborn as one of the people in the live chat has gone ahead to say that he doesn't want to obviously change anything. Now, 10 shots at goal by Grimsby. United had 28 shots. 4 shots on targets by Grimsby. United had 9. 29% ball possession by Grimsby, and United had 71%. 215 passes completed by Grimsby. United completed 525 passes. 67% passing accuracy by Grimsby. Now 87% passing accuracy by Man United. 10 fouls by Grimsby and 8 fouls by Man United. 2 yellow cards to Grimsby and 2 yellow cards to the club of Manchester United. Then no red cards were issued to either sides. 5 offsides to Grimsby, 1 to Manchester United. 6 corners to Manchester United. Sorry, Grimsby United had 4 corners. You understand? United came up and obviously had those corners in there for you. Now, that's how United would head to fare into this particular game of football. Brand Buemo missing out a penalty. Remember, we took 12 penalties. You understand? The goalkeepers also took, and then we went into another set of retaking penalties, So, those who are really blaming Andre Onana, I think he served out 1 penalty, and the others went ahead to cross the line. So, that's not us, Grimsby shouldn't take us to penalties. You remember when I criticized Eric Ten Hag that you can't be 3 goals up against Coventry in the semi-finals of the FA Cup and Coventry pulls 3 goals back. That is unacceptable. Very, very unacceptable by the club of Man United. You understand? Against Coventry, and things that really happened in the second season of Eric Ten Hag have just gone ahead to happen in the second season of Ruben Amorim. Because for me, I count the other one as a first season, because when you come in through and really put in a shift, right, and you manage, because he found when United had played close to 11 games, you understand, and 11 games in the league, that means he went ahead to manage 20. He went ahead to manage 27 games. So if you manage 27 games out of the 38 games of the Premier League season, then you are really having your opening season, and that season will obviously be under you. You understand? So that is it. United has gone ahead to obviously got beaten. And guess what? I've gone ahead to see a fan of Grimsby treeing God 45 up the Marines, and they're really doing the needful. And knocking out Man United, trust me, is really something that which they should obviously celebrate about, as United couldn't obviously find themselves into the best position of really knocking out such a manager. Now, the manager, known as Ruben Amorim, has come out and said the following after the game. He said, Amorim said the best team won. Obviously, the best team won, because when you look at how they attacked us, you were like, oh my God, this team really has an attacking pattern that can obviously break down Manchester United. Amorim said, I'm really sorry for the fans, right? And my players spoke for me really loud. And he's like, if he says that his players went ahead to speak to him really loud, he's like, they're like, they don't want me here and they want me to get sacked, And obviously, he will get the sack. That is it, if he doesn't really change the results on the pitch. Joe Arun Sesi, heartbroken. Go the easy ways. Was the team selection okay? I think this team selection was okay. For any player who was brought on, he was a more high-profile player. But the problem the manager did was that there are players he brought on when they've not gone ahead to obviously get 10 minutes. Has Aiden haven't gotten minutes, in a competitive games, Kobe Mainu, Zakzi, meaning that those players were really rusty. You understand? Those players were really rusty. So I think his rotation was really a problem. You understand? Was really a problem, So guys, continue to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Book said we are finished. It's over. Obviously, we are out of the Carabao Cup, knocked out by Grimsby, and they've gone ahead to do a very good job, and I have to give them their flowers. And I warned you that it can go ahead and obviously happen. That is it. Then Mugisha Fred, we have lost our attacking football, and the system of wingbacks is reckless, exposing the keeper. So, talking about exposing the goalkeeper, when you look at those 2 goals, they all come in from it's the left or the right side of the pitch. Now, tell me, if you're really having 5 defenders, how can someone, all for the first goal, a player get all those yards of space, controls the ball and shoot, when you are having a back 3, nowhere to be seen, and even Dalo is nowhere to be seen, That's why I told you that this system, if it is really efficient, it can beat any team. If it's inefficient, it can concede even 10, 15 goals in a single game, So, these players, people are blaming the Andre Onana for the first goal. I can obviously bring you, name the best goalkeepers you've gone here to see, and I'll show you them conceding near post goals. That miscalculation of a cross for the second one, Onana takes it, But ask yourself again, why a perfect cross coming in through? And how does that cross surpass the defenders, the 3 defenders that you're really having? Because it was not all that into the sky. It was really a mid-sky cross, you understand? And it was not that cross that was really very perfect. So, okay, Andre Onana comes in through for that ball. How come that ball skipped past the defenders of Man United and it landed into the heads of the player that headed in the back of the net? And you're really having one of the tallest defenders in the world, known as Harry Maguire. Where was he? Where was he? You understand? So, I really understand what is happening at Man United, and you can blame Andre Onana, but this is where Mugisha Fred's point really becomes valid, that you're really having wing backs and they cannot obviously track back to cover that space, and crosses are coming in through, and we are easily getting beaten in our Ina's box area in the positions where, when you're playing a system of 4-2-3-1, you will be having a flat 4, all that back 4 that can do the job. Book says we can't be fixed. We will be lucky to be in the Premier League in 2028. They need to do the needful. If they don't do the needful, obviously, United will obviously face it rough. And you're right, Books. Mugisha Fred, our manager, should have attacking-minded football and should be having a back 4. Obviously, he should be playing a traditional back 4, because tell me, what big team in the Premier League or in the world really plays that system? You understand? Arsenal doesn't, Liverpool doesn't, Man City doesn't, Chelsea doesn't. You understand? So, if Amorim keeps up with this system, I tell you, he's going to lose the job. He's going to lose the job. And his team selection too should really improve. Then, Books, Amorim too stubborn, he won't change. He said it, that he won't change the system last season, and I just can't wait to hear him say the same thing and see whether he'll be here for the next 1 month. I tell you, Amorim, we are playing Burnley over the weekend, not so? If we don't get 3 points against Burnley, he might be the first manager to get sacked from the Premier League, because I know Ineos, they'll be like, if we don't get this man out now and fix it up now, we might really see the worst, And the reason is simple. He came in through, he has gone ahead to be having 2 pre-seasons. The first pre-season ran from November to May. Second pre-season from July, to August, and nothing is changing. No progress. Now, train God 45 up to the Marines. He's really a supporter of the Grimsby town. And he said, the better team won because your team full of players who are soft and live of 300,000 K per week. I think we need to organize our team better. That is it. The manager needs to obviously understand that the system cannot even beat Trains God's team. If it cannot beat Train God's team, can it come and really beat Burnley? I was having a chat with a person, I think on Monday. I told him, what guarantee do you have that Man United can come up and obviously beat Burnley over the weekend? Now, reality check has gone ahead to come in through in this game of Grimsby, because Grimsby has gone ahead to come in through and beat us. They've knocked us out, Then Juvenes, Tuya. It's a shame. This manager is very, very stubborn. His system is not flexible. That is it. And by the way, to show you that he's really a man who will obviously die on his own legs running, even when we are losing, he cannot obviously say, let me adjust and get to a back four and say to it that I really fix up certain things. He sticks onto the same system. You understand? Which is really very, very, very bad. Mbazida Innocent? No, this is going too far. The fans are really no longer interested. But you're the same people who really said, Rokani, no reason for really bringing in a manager. You shouldn't keep Eric Ten Hag here. He should leave. Amorim is a better manager. Now, of the two, he's really a better manager. I've always told you, he who laughs last, laughs best. And who is laughing last? I'm here laughing because I knew what Eric Ten Hag is all about. I saw the stats that you're really producing, and this man hasn't produced any of those stats apart from breaking every record. And I also want United to get in a new goalkeeper and see what will obviously happen. You understand? Even when David De Gea was here, we are conceding goals from set pieces. You understand? People are like, we are not conceding in goals. But how many stupid goals did we see David De Gea make us concede? Fulham, Wolves, there is a game you're playing against Sevilla, you understand? We conceded stupid goals, but that doesn't take him off as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, you understand? And people were like, he should leave and we bring in a ball-playing goalkeeper. We brought in a ball-playing goalkeeper, you understand? Now, you fans, you always shift your goalposts, and you are not always hinged at a certain point X. But for me, I'm always hinged at a certain point X. And I always said that for me, I wouldn't get David De Gea out. Why? In that season, I needed more players. And in that season, that's when we brought Andre Onana, Rasmus Højlund came in through, Mason Mount came in through, who else came in through? You understand? Now, when those players, Amrabat came in through, and I thought that we needed to bring in a senior striker to obviously come and really help Rasmus Højlund. I also thought that we needed another midfielder early enough. Amrabat would have went to come in through early enough and really took part into our preseason, but that never really went ahead to happen. But went ahead to spend 40 million euros on a goalkeeper, money that would have went to sign Amrabat early enough. So I've been addressing all these things because for me, I believe when you talk about a goalkeeper, do you think Man City has the best shot stopper? No, they don't. But the goalkeeper does the basics to obviously see his team really keeping the ball. And I tell you, if United was really playing very well and it's a high football possession team, Andre Onana wouldn't have gone ahead to be the problem. All right, we've conceded 2 against Grimsby. How many have we gone ahead to score? You'd have gone ahead to say, we are winning games, we are scoring goals, but we are not obviously doing the needful to obviously win these games, And why do we let in very many crosses? Why is our keeper always exposed? You understand? Those are questions, and they go back to the system because the system is really so open and leaving everyone exposed at the club of Manchester United. And I'm having we shall not be in Europe again next season. Believe me, Rokani, obviously we can't. There is no way we can obviously make that huge turnaround, We are having Oluport Charles. I don't know why we never got 100 million for Fernandes from Saudi and start building from new players and the young ones. Yeah, that's what I told you, that dispose of Casemiro, dispose of, by the way, dispose of Casemiro, dispose of Bruno Fernandes, dispose of Harry Maguire. If you want Onana out, get him out, you understand? And then get in Lamens as the new goalkeeper, Use the money to obviously, don't go in for Baleba, They are good players like Ederson at Atalanta who plays in that midfield and can cost United only 50 million euros. Get him in, you understand? Get in players from the French league. There is Malik Fofana. He can play wide He can plus a wide forward very well. Get him in. You know, we had a very good striker, Jonathan David. Young, 25 years of age, and proven. Get him in as a free and keep Rasmus Højlund here to act as an understudy for this lad. You understand? Get in other players that we need, and then let's build. You know, that's what Chelsea went ahead to do. You understand? Charles Soko or Ruben will kill us with his system. All right, he will obviously. Books. Onana probably worst goalkeeper in the Premier League. I don't think so. I don't think so because his stats don't indicate so. But if things have failed to work out well with Manchester United, why do you obviously keep him around until this time? Let him out. Let him out. Did you only want to use him as a bait to bring in Bryan Mbeumo and then get him disposed of? You know, all those are really done by weak teams. That means that United wouldn't obviously sign Mbeumo without the help of Andre Onana. You understand? No way, no way, no way. And book says Onana has very weak wrists. For me, I tell you, Onana is here because the board kept him here. Now, if you keep a player around, then you are the one to blame. Because the player, if the player is not wanted, then he won't force himself to start the club. You know? Andre Onana would have gone to be disposed of even before the preseason went ahead to start. But Manchester United used Andre Onana as a bait to obviously get in Bryan Mbeumo, you know. And in the due course of really waiting him as a bait, he went ahead to get an injury and was not part of the preseason. You understand? So that's exactly what you're really having in here, the club of Man United. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. I think we've gone ahead to have a stream of nice 46 minutes. And I think, let me go to bed. Let me sleep off and let's start from here tomorrow and see what news we'll be saying about Ruben Amorim. I know it's inevitable. The legends and ex-United players have already gone ahead to obviously start issuing out statements. Like Wayne Rooney said, no excuse. You understand? Wayne Rooney said, no excuse. You know? Now, others are also putting in a shift, and we are here to wait and see how things really pan out in here onto the United Matters channel. Rokan David remains my name. I'm out. For everyone who's been part of this channel, you can also continue to subscribe and even become a member by hitting the join button and supporting this beautiful channel that we've seen it grow from 1 subscriber to 21,000 subscribers. And we want to hit 22,000 subscribers. We're left with 300 subscribers to hit 22,000. Lastly, Charles Soko. Rokani, so about Semi Lemons. Is he coming to Manchester United? He's coming. He's coming, but I don't know why United is taking all this long to obviously get this deal done and dusted, right? So, we are here. Let's wait and see how things will pan out for the club of Manchester United. And I think the manager will obviously get himself a sack if he doesn't really adjust and really get in the right system that can fit these players. Because most of you are like, these players don't fit the system. He has brought in Aiden Heaven. He has brought in Dogu, Cunha, Mbeumo, and Benjamin Sesko. What else doesn't he have to effect his system at the club of Manchester United? I leave the answer to you, and good night to everyone who has been part of this live stream. We out. Bye-bye. Those who are ranting are really ranting. See you in the next video. Most probably a recording before